Time travel, a complicated subject at the best of times, infamous for its tendency to create all manner of paradoxes. Regardless, plenty of stories across all manner of genres have tried to tackle time travel as a plot device, with varying degrees of success. And the God of War series is no stranger to the idea either. Time travel in God of War can be traced all the way back to the second game, in which Kratos uses the threads of fate to undo his own death, as well as the deaths of his Spartan soldiers at the hands of Zeus. He also goes back in time to change the outcome of the Titanomachy, saving most of the Titans from being imprisoned in Tartarus, with the exceptions of Atlas and Kronos. Needless to say, Kratos has something of a history with, rewriting history. And the original series never concerns itself too heavily with trying to actually explain the paradoxes this creates. The important thing to note about all this, however, is that in order to do this, Kratos has to overcome the entities responsible for controlling fate itself, something that proves that destiny can be rewritten, theoretically. Honestly, looking back, it's a little iffy because Kratos actually winds up fulfilling another prophecy in the process of defying the Sisters of Fate, that Olympus would be undone by a god of war. Added to this are the comics and the 2018 game, which reveal that Kratos continues to be strung along by destiny. First, he is foretold to kill a great monster in Egypt, which he does, and then he basically winds up going on a journey that kicks off Ragnarok, which the giants foresaw even before Kratos' arrival in the Norse lands. But then you have the Norns, who reveal that there is no grand design, and that destiny is simply the result of predicting what actions a person will take based on who they are. For example, say you are offered a choice between strawberries and lemons. If you don't like sour foods, then naturally you'll probably pick strawberries. You could pick lemons if you wanted, and it's not preordained by some higher power that you would pick strawberries, but if that's your preference, why wouldn't you pick your favorite fruit? The Norns claim that our actions aren't already written, but they are predictable, and that is why prophecies come to pass. However, at the end of God of War Ragnarok, Kratos and Atreus do manage to subvert fate, at least to some extent. Kratos chooses to defy his nature, to put aside his instincts as a warrior and a god-killer, and be better for the sake of his child. This results in him surviving the battle against Thor, and Ragnarok as a whole. In the end, he proves that the future is indeed not set in stone after all. Or is it? During Ragnarok, Thor fights against Jormungandr, the World Serpent, and unleashes a blow so mighty that it knocks the giant snake back in time. This is a topic that's already been discussed a fair bit by other YouTubers, but in case you're not familiar with it, here's the rundown. During his venture to Ironwood, Atreus and Angrboda attempt to help a snake that had its soul taken from it by placing the soul of a giant into the serpent's body. This serpent then slithers off and grows exponentially, slowly but surely becoming the World Serpent. During Ragnarok, the World Serpent appears to do battle with Thor, which, as mentioned, sends Jormungandr several years, if not decades, into the past. After that, Jormungandr appears in the Lake of Nine, where he proceeds to simply live out his life until the day that Kratos and Atreus encounter him. Jormungandr plays a key role in several pivotal moments of their journey, even stating that he vaguely recognizes Atreus, considering that from his perspective, Atreus is the one who made him into the World Serpent. Then, when Fimbulwinter finally arrives, Jormungandr goes to sleep in a frozen lake, only waking up briefly to tell Atreus to go to Ironwood, which is where the serpent was, or technically will be, born. Have you noticed it yet? Basically, the World Serpent exists in something of a time loop. He was born from a soulless snake's body and a giant soul, grows large enough to storm Asgard during Ragnarok, gets knocked back in time by Thor, and then aids Kratos and Atreus on their journey, which ultimately leads back around to the creation of the World Serpent in Ironwood. To put it another way, Jormungandr can be thought of as something of a fixed point in time. He's existed in Midgard for ages, and plays a pivotal role in the first game's story. But for any of that to happen, Atreus must make it to Ironwood and merge the giant soul with the soulless snake. More than that, the newly reborn Jormungandr must do battle with Thor to get knocked back in time, which itself effectively means that Ragnarok must happen. If Ragnarok doesn't happen, then Jormungandr never gets knocked back in time, which means that all the events leading up to his creation in Ironwood probably wouldn't have happened. In other words, Jormungandr's very existence is what solidifies Groa's prophecy as inevitable. It has nothing to do with fate exactly, but rather the fact that Thor created a time loop when he knocked Jormungandr into the past. At least, that's how I interpret it. As I said, time travel is complicated at the best of times, but I hope that this made at least a degree of sense. But what do you all think? Is Jormungandr an avatar of fate, or am I reading into it too much? Leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I'll see you all next time.